As of now, as we're speaking, it's 8 o'clock, and already retrieval operation has begun. I'm informed that they got here as early as 7, and at 7:30 they launched their equipment. And as I can see right now, there's an extra team that has joined today's recovery operation. That particular team has a different boat, and they are from Subsea. A company that is also a company that had been contracted by the family to help in the recovery operation. And as I can see there, right now there are more than 15 people. I can say there are also boats from the Kenyan Navy, and right now they have already suspended the cables, and I can see the divers are also in place, and the crane is also up. And this somehow is a good sign. Remember, yesterday the operations began a little bit late at around 11, contrary to today, because here we are hoping and hopeful that today this will be the end and the final day of this exercise. It's been 12 days since the bodies of Amanda and her mother Mariam have been lying inside the vehicle that sank on the 29th of September on Sunday evening. And today we are hoping that this particular process will be done with. Remember yesterday the challenges that the government says the divers encountered. I believe that they have employed a proper machinery today to ensure that this process will be done as soon as possible. We had Saida Suguna yesterday saying that they had underestimated the situation and the condition of the currents inside the water, saying that they had minimal chances of retrieving that particular vehicle by hooking the car, saying that they even had challenges of trying to get the hook into the car because the currents were too heavy to even get a proper position. But I believe they have employed a different technique today that they'll be using to retrieve the vehicle. And at this time, Mark, I believe that with all this equipment in place, I believe this is not going to last more than 5 hours today, and we are hopeful that they will manage to at least retrieve the vehicle. As at now, I can see the Navy divers taking positions. That's an extra boat. They are coming in with at least more than 5 divers on board, and joining the rest of the team that is already up there. And as I have told you earlier, is that there's an extra team of divers, and I believe that they've also come or rather joined the operation with extra equipment. Remember yesterday the government said that they had 3 modes of conducting this exercise, and after evaluating all of them, and the first one was to use the balloons, but it was difficult for the divers to get in there. Remember, the car is sitting at 57 meters deep, and that is a depth that that of course there's a lot of heavy currents down there. The waters are very dark, and it was hard for the divers to get the balloons inside there. That's why they opted to use the hook, which became impossible also because of the currents. And we are also informed that the other 2 extra ways that they had also put on the table were somehow were not in a dignified manner, because I say so because the government says that this is an operation that is very sensitive, and they had thought of removing the bodies from the vehicle and leaving the car for another day. But they thought if they do so, remember the body is also decomposing. It's been more than 10 days inside the salty waters of the Indian Ocean here at the Likoni Channel, and they thought if at all they tried to break into the vehicle or even open the doors, then they were afraid that perhaps maybe the parts of the bodies could maybe get out of the vehicle and start moving or getting out of the place or the position and the location where the vehicle is. So they thought if that move cannot work, then the only possible way of doing this operation in a more dignified manner is at least to have the entire vehicle out with the bodies inside the vehicle. That is now, I believe, is still the modes of operation that is currently on the table, because the other two ways were not possible. And remember, this, as according to the government spokesman Cyrus Oguna, has to be done in a way that the family will also be satisfied. Because the other option of leaving the car inside there also cannot work, Mark, there was also another way that they were thinking of approaching this issue, because, as I said earlier, the bodies are decomposing, and they were afraid if at all they open the vehicle and the body parts start spreading out of the vehicle, then they pick some parts of the body, but that also became challenging for them because they could not use that idea, because remember, the family is here, they have been here, it's a sensitive situation now, and they have to do everything possible to ensure that they have the entire vehicle out of the water. So that is currently happening, and I believe that is the operation, or rather that idea of bringing the entire vehicle or lifting the entire vehicle out of the water. That is what is currently being worked on. And remember, this operation is under the command of the Kenya Navy, led by Colonel Lawrence Gituma, and of course, I believe, Mark, with what I'm currently seeing here, this operation is likely to end today, and I'm hopeful that it will not take more than 5 hours, and we're expecting good results. Even the government is hopeful that they are in the final leg of the recovery process, and it's been really long. The family has been waiting, Kenyans have been watching, and we are hopeful that we will be done with this today. Mark.
Thank you, Kevin Mutai. If you can hear me and if you can respond to this, given what you have right now, is it true, as has been given by some versions of the story, that the position of the car has changed, it has moved given the currents?
Well, that could also be possible, but we cannot independently verify that. But what I believe is that because there were buoys that were suspended on the water yesterday, that means that, of course, there's a cable that was tied into the vehicle. But if at all, because of the strength of the currents under the water, then I believe, of course, there's a possibility that the vehicle could have moved. But I don't think it would have gotten out of the radius that they had placed. Remember, this has been an operation that started from a wide range of 1.2 kilometers of the ocean, and they narrowed down that distance to 300 meters. So I believe they also have they've put in place mechanisms to ensure that the place, or rather the spot, was marked, and if at all the currents could have moved the vehicle, then of course it can't get out of the radius, or rather the location that they had already spotted the vehicle. But I don't think that could be the challenge right now, because they're already here, they've been here, that machinery has been there, it's left over there. So I don't think at all, if the vehicle had moved, then of course it would create another problem, because this would mean it would probably take back this exercise to square one, and that means trying to locate it again, and I don't think they can afford such kind of a mistake again. So I believe they've put in place all the mechanisms and the machinery to ensure that the vehicle is in place, so that to help the recovery operation and make it as quickly as possible, so that they can be able to get over this and give family closure, so that they can be able to go on with their plans to give a befitting send-off to their loved ones.